Dongmin stepped off his ship onto the crystal platform. The surface felt warm under his feet, even through his boots. Hyun and Wojin walked toward them with slow, easy steps. They looked completely human, but something felt different about them. "Welcome to Earth," Hyun said. Her voice was soft, but it seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We have been waiting for you." "Waiting for us?" Dongmin asked. "But we just decided to come here an hour ago." Wojin smiled. "Time works differently for us now. We knew you would come before you knew it yourself." Sujin stepped forward. She felt nervous but also excited. These were humans like her ancestors. "I'm Sujin. My great-great-grandmother was from Earth, from the old Earth." Haon looked at her with kind eyes. "Yes, we know." Min Young was her name. She was a teacher in Seoul. She loved to read old books. Sujin's mouth dropped open. "How do you know that?" "That information was lost centuries ago." "Nothing is truly lost," Hyun said. "We can see the connections between all things now. Your family history is written in your genetic code. We can read it like a book." Jinho, who had stayed close to the ship, spoke up. "What happened to you? Where did Earth go for 500 years? Wojin turned to face him. "We didn't go anywhere. We went everywhere. The architects came to us when we were destroying ourselves with wars and pollution. They offered us a choice." "What kind of choice?" Dongmin asked. "Stay as we were and die slowly, or let them take us to a place where we could learn to be more than human. We chose to learn." Hyun waved her hand, and suddenly the air above them showed pictures. Real pictures moving like a movie. They showed Earth as it used to be, with dirty cities and dying oceans. Then they showed strange beings made of light appearing in the sky. "The architects exist outside of normal space and time," Ha-un explained. "They took our whole planet to a pocket dimension. What seemed like 500 years to you was actually millions of years for us." "Millions of years," Sujin whispered. "Yes, we had time to grow, to learn, to become something new. We learned to control matter with our thoughts. We learned to speak without words. We learned to fix what was broken." To prove her point, Hyun looked at Dongmin's ship. She didn't touch it or go near it. She just looked at it and concentrated. Suddenly, the ship began to change. Dents disappeared. Scratched paint became new again. Systems that had been broken for months started working perfectly. Jinho ran back to check the ship. "Captain, everything is fixed. The engines are running better than they ever have." "How is this possible?" "We can see the patterns that make up all matter," Wojin explained. "Metal, plastic, flesh, energy. They're all just different arrangements of the same basic building blocks. We can rearrange them." Dongmin felt scared and amazed at the same time. "You're talking about changing the basic laws of physics." "No," Hyun said gently. "We're talking about understanding them better than anyone ever has before. Physics didn't change. We just learned to work with it instead of against it." Sujin was thinking hard. "If you can do all this, why did you come back? Why leave your pocket dimension?" Wojin's face became serious. "Because something terrible is coming. The architects showed us the future. They showed us what will happen to this galaxy if no one acts." "What kind of terrible thing?" Dongmin asked. Hyun waved her hand again, and new pictures appeared in the air. This time they showed space itself being eaten. Stars disappeared. Planets crumbled to dust. Entire solar systems vanished into darkness. "The Devourers," Wojin said. "They consume everything. Matter, energy, even space and time itself. They have already destroyed dozens of other galaxies. Now they're coming here." "When?" Dongmin's voice was barely a whisper. "Soon, maybe 50 of your years. Maybe less. They move faster as they get hungrier." Jinho came back from the ship looking confused and worried. "Captain, our long-range sensors just improved themselves. They're picking up something at the edge of the galaxy. Something big." Hyun nodded sadly. "They're already starting to eat the outer systems. Most species won't notice for years. But it's happening." Sujin felt sick. "Can they be stopped?" "Yes," Wojin said firmly. "But not by any one species. Not even by us alone. It will take everyone working together. Every species in the galaxy will need to evolve." "Evolve how?" Dongmin asked. "Like we did. They'll need to learn to think beyond their physical limits. They'll need to become more than they are now." Ha-un stepped closer to Sujin. "Would you like to see what it's like? Just for a moment?" "See what's like?" "Being more than human. I can share my consciousness with yours. You'll understand everything." Sujin looked at Dongmin. He nodded slowly. This was why they had come here. "To learn." "Okay," Sujin said. "Show me." Hyun reached out and gently touched Sujin's forehead. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Sujin's eyes went wide. Suddenly, she could see everything, not just with her eyes, but with her mind. She could see the molecular structure of the crystal platform. She could feel the thoughts of everyone around her. She could sense the ship's computer systems and understand exactly how they worked. But more than that, she could see the connections between all things. She could see how the energy from the nearest star traveled through space and touched every atom on the platform. She could see how her own thoughts created tiny changes in the space around her. For just a moment, she understood what it meant to be truly alive in the universe. Then Ha-Un let go, and Sujin was back to being just herself. But now she knew what was possible. That was incredible, she whispered. You can really teach others to do that? With time and patience, yes. But they have to want to learn. They have to be willing to change. Wojin looked up at the sky where more ships were arriving every minute. Some species will welcome the chance to grow. Others will be afraid. Fear makes people do dangerous things. What about my crew? Dongmin asked. What about my people? The Altarians are naturally curious, Ha-Un said. They will probably accept the change more easily than most, but every individual must choose for themselves. And if they choose not to, then they will die when the Devourers come, Wojin said simply. There is no middle ground. Either the galaxy evolves together or it dies together. A new ship landed on the platform nearby. Then another. Representatives from different species were arriving to see the returned humans. This is just the beginning, Ha-Un said. Soon the whole galaxy will know we're back. Some will celebrate. Some will panic. Some will try to fight us. Will you fight back? Dongmin asked. Only if we have to. We didn't return to conquer anyone. We returned to save everyone. But we understand that not everyone will see it that way. Sujin was still thinking about what she had experienced when Ha-Un touched her mind. How many humans are on Earth now? About the same number as when we left. 10 billion. But each of us is now capable of things that entire civilizations used to think were impossible. And you're all willing to share this power? It's not about sharing power, Wojin corrected. It's about sharing knowledge. The power comes from understanding. We can teach understanding, but each person has to learn it for themselves. More ships were landing now. The crystal platform was getting crowded. Representatives from dozens of species were gathering, all wanting to meet the returned humans. We should go, Ha-Un said to Wojin. The others will want to see us too. She turned to Dongmin and his crew. Thank you for being the first to welcome us back. Your courage in coming here will be remembered. What happens now? Dongmin asked. Now we begin the real work, Wojin replied. We have to convince an entire galaxy to change everything they think they know about reality. And we have to do it fast. As Ha-Un and Wojin walked away to meet the other visitors, Sujin grabbed Dongmin's arm. Captain, what they showed me, it was real. This isn't some trick or illusion. They really can do these things. I know, Dongmin said quietly. The question is, what do we do about it? Looking around at all the ships landing on the platform, Sujin knew their quiet life of exploring empty space was over. They were now part of something much bigger and much more dangerous. The humans were back, and they had brought with them the power to save the galaxy or watch it die. Captain Dongmin stared at the empty space where Earth should have been. For 500 years, this spot in the galaxy had been nothing but darkness. Ships from all over the galaxy came here to see the place where humans used to live. Now it was just another tourist stop. His ship, the Starwind, moved slowly through the area. Dongmin was not human, but his navigator Sujin was, while she was part human. Her great-great-grandmother had escaped Earth before it disappeared. Sujin always felt sad when they came to this empty place. Captain, look at this, Sujin said from her station. Her voice was shaking. Something is wrong with the sensors. Dongmin walked over to her screen. The numbers were dancing around like crazy. What is it? I don't know. But something big is happening here. Then the alarm started screaming. Every sensor on the ship went wild. Outside the window, space itself seemed to bend and twist. Colors that had no names flashed in the darkness. Captain, shouted Jin Ho from the engineering station. Gravity is going crazy. Something huge is coming. Dongmin grabbed his chair as the ship shook. All stop. Cut the engines. The shaking got worse. Then as fast as it started, everything went quiet. Too quiet. Sujin looked at her screen and her face went white. Captain, you need to see this. Dongmin looked at the main screen. Where empty space had been just minutes ago, there was now a blue and green planet. Earth. It was back. "That's not possible," whispered Jinho. But there it was, spinning slowly in front of them. It looked like Earth, but something was different. The continents were not in the right places. Strange lines covered the surface, making perfect shapes that looked too neat to be natural. "Sujin, scan the planet. Tell me everything." Sujin's fingers moved fast over her controls. "Captain, this is Earth, but it's changed. The continents are all wrong. And these patterns on the surface, they're everywhere." "What kind of patterns?" "Perfect circles, squares, and lines. They cover the whole planet." "And Captain, the planet's rotation is perfect. No wobble at all." "That should be impossible." Dongmin felt his stomach tighten. "Planets don't just appear out of nowhere, and they don't fix their own rotation. Are there any cities? Any signs of life?" "Yes, Captain. Lots of cities. But they don't look like the old human cities from the history books. These are different. Very different." On the screen, Earth looked beautiful but strange. The cities glowed with soft light. The oceans were cleaner than any ocean Dongmin had ever seen. Everything looked perfect. "Too perfect, Captain," Jinho called out. "I'm getting readings from all over the galaxy. Other ships are coming here fast. News travels quick when Earth shows up out of nowhere." Dongmin nodded. Soon this place would be full of ships from every species in the galaxy. Everyone would want to see the humans who disappeared 500 years ago. "Sujin, can you contact them?" "I'm trying, Captain. But their communication systems are strange. I can't figure out how they work." Then, without warning, every screen on the ship lit up. A message appeared in perfect Altarian, which was Dongmin's native language. But the message also appeared in Serenian, Corvani, and dozens of other languages at the same time. "We have returned. We have learned. We are ready," that was all. Just those simple words in every language in the galaxy. "How did they know what languages to use?" asked Jinho. Before anyone could answer, another message appeared. This time it was longer. "To the ships approaching Earth, you are welcome. We invite one small group to visit us. We have much to share." Sujin looked at her captain. "Sir, how did they even know we were here?" "Our shields are up. They shouldn't be able to scan us." Dongmin thought about this. The humans had been gone for 500 years. In that time, technology had advanced a lot. But this felt like more than just better technology. "This felt impossible, Captain," Sujin said quietly. "Should I answer them?" "Yes, tell them we accept their invitation." As soon as Sujin sent the message, the reply came back instantly. Not in seconds, but instantly, as if they knew what she was going to say before she said it. "Thank you, Captain Dongmin of the Starwind. Please land on the platform in the Pacific Ocean. Your navigator Sujin will find it easily. She has the old maps in her memory." Everyone on the bridge went quiet. How did they know the captain's name? How did they know about Sujin and her memories? "Captain," Jinho whispered, "they're reading our minds." "Maybe," Dongmin said. "Or maybe they're just very good at guessing." But he didn't believe that. These humans, whoever they were now, could do things that should not be possible. "Sujin, take us down. Find this platform." As the Starwind moved toward Earth, Sujin checked her old maps. The Pacific Ocean on these maps was just water. But on her current scans, there was something new. A huge platform made of some kind of crystal. It was bigger than most cities. "There, Captain. I can see it." The platform was beautiful. It looked like it was made of diamond, but it glowed with soft blue light. It was perfectly flat and perfectly round. As they got closer, they could see people waiting for them. Humans. They looked normal, but they stood too still. Too calm. "Captain, their life signs are strange," Sujin reported. "They're definitely human, but something is different. Their brain activity is unusual." "Unusual how?" "Too organized. Human brains usually show random patterns. These don't. Their thoughts seem to be perfectly controlled." The ship landed softly on the crystal platform. The landing was too smooth. Their ship's landing systems were good, but not that good. Something had helped them land. "Captain, our ship systems just improved themselves," Jinho reported from engineering. "I don't know how, but everything is working better now." Through the window, they could see two humans walking toward their ship. One was a man who looked about 40 years old. He was tall and moved with confidence. The other was a woman who seemed younger. She smiled as she walked, but her eyes were very old, much older than her face. Those must be Wojin and Ha-Yun. Sujin said, reading the names that somehow appeared on her screen without her asking for them. How do you know their names? I don't know, Captain. The information just appeared. Dongmin felt a chill run down his back. These humans were not the same species that had left 500 years ago. They had become something else. Something powerful. Get ready, he told his crew. We're about to meet the new humans. And I have a feeling our galaxy will never be the same again. As the airlock opened, Wojin and Haiyun waited patiently. They didn't seem surprised or excited. They just waited as if they had known this moment would come, as if they had been planning for it for a very long time. The meeting that was about to happen would change everything. But Dongmin didn't know that yet. All he knew was that Earth was back and the humans who lived there were no longer just human. They were something much more. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Earth had returned. The humans were back, and they were different. Within days, every major species knew what had happened. Ships from hundreds of worlds raced toward the Sol system. Some came out of curiosity. Others came out of fear. A few came ready for war. The Galactic Federation called an emergency meeting on Nexus Station, the biggest space station in the galaxy. It was neutral ground where all species could meet safely. At least it used to be safe. Now no one was sure about anything. Ambassador Ji-Wan of the Serenian Collective was the first to arrive at the station. The Serenians were peaceful people who believed in harmony above all else. Ji-Wan had been studying human history since the news broke. What she found made her both hopeful and worried. The old humans were capable of great kindness and terrible violence, she told her aide. We don't know which side these new humans will show us. General Tae-ho of the Corvani Empire arrived next. The Corvani were warriors who had adopted human names centuries ago to honor Earth's military traditions. Tae-ho was not his birth name, but he wore it proudly. However, he was not sure these new humans deserved that honor. Any species that can appear and disappear at will is a threat, he told his officers. We must be ready to defend ourselves. Representatives from dozens of other species arrived over the next few hours. The station became crowded with beings who rarely spoke to each other. But they all had the same questions. What did the humans want? How powerful were they really? And most importantly, were they dangerous? Council leader Vaktor called the emergency session to order. He was old, even for his long-lived species, and had seen many crises come and go. But nothing like this. We are here to discuss the return of Earth and its implications for galactic security, he announced. I call upon Captain Dongmin of the Altarian vessel Starwind to give his report. Dongmin stood nervously. He had never spoken to the full Galactic Council before. Honored members, I have met with the returned humans. They claim they were taken to another dimension and evolved over millions of years. They now possess abilities that seem to violate known physics. What kind of abilities? Asked General Tae-ho. They can reshape matter with their thoughts. They can communicate without speaking. They seem to know things they shouldn't be able to know. A Corvani officer shouted from the gallery. They can read minds. No one is safe. The council chamber erupted in worried voices from dozens of species. Vaktor called for order. Captain Dongmin, did they threaten you in any way? No, council leader. They were peaceful. But they did warn us about something called the Devourers. They say these entities will destroy the galaxy unless we work together to stop them. This caused even more shouting. Some species had heard rumors of missing star systems at the galaxy's edge. Others thought it was just old space legends. How convenient, General Tae-ho said loudly. They return with godlike powers and immediately tell us about a threat only they can fight. This sounds like a plan for conquest. Ambassador Ji-Wan stood up. General, perhaps we should listen to what they have to say before assuming the worst. The Serenians always want to trust everyone, Tae-ho replied. But trust can get you killed. These humans disappeared for 500 years without warning. Now they return claiming to be our saviors. I say we should be very careful. Council leader Vaktor raised his hand for silence. Has anyone attempted to verify these claims about the Devourers? Yes, Council leader, said Chief Scientist Remkar of the Technological Union. Our long-range sensors have detected unusual energy patterns at the galactic rim. Several star systems have gone dark in the past year. We assumed it was natural stellar collapse, but now we're not sure. The chamber went quiet. Missing star systems were not something anyone could ignore. How long do we have? Asked Ji-Wan. If the humans are correct, Remkar replied, perhaps 50 standard years, maybe less. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the council chamber lit up. A human face appeared on all of them at once. It was a man who looked to be in his 40s, with calm eyes and a gentle smile. "Greetings, representatives of the Galactic Federation. I am Minho, speaking for Earth. We ask permission to address your assembly." General Taeho jumped to his feet. "How did you break into our secure communications?" "This is an act of war." Minho's image remained calm. "We broke nothing, General. We simply asked your computers to let us speak. They agreed." "Computers don't agree to anything," Taeho shouted. "They do now," Minho said simply. "Everything in the universe has a form of consciousness, from the smallest particle to the largest star. We have learned to communicate with all of it." Council Leader Vaktor was trying to understand what he was hearing. "You're saying you can talk to machines?" "We're saying the difference between living beings and machines is smaller than most people think. But we're not here to debate philosophy. We're here to offer help." "What kind of help?" asked Jiwon. "The kind you'll need to survive. The Devourers are real and they're coming. Alone, no species in this galaxy is strong enough to stop them. Together with our help, you might have a chance." "And what do you want in return?" General Taeho demanded. "Nothing. We offer this freely because we are all connected. When one part of the galaxy dies, all parts suffer." "Prove it," Taeho said. "Prove you have the power you claim." Minho's image smiled sadly. "Very well. But remember, you asked for this demonstration." The lights in the council chamber flickered. Then through the great windows of the station, everyone could see something impossible happening outside. 3 nearby planets had stopped spinning. The gas giant Kronos, which had rotated once every 10 hours for billions of years, was now perfectly still. The rocky world of Petrum had frozen mid-turn. Even distant Aquinas with its endless storms had become motionless. The council chamber erupted in panic. Beings from dozens of species shouted in fear and anger. Stopping planetary rotation was something that required the power of stars. "Change them back," General Taeho demanded. "Change them back now." "Of course," Minho said. "We never intended to harm anyone." As quickly as they had stopped, the 3 planets began spinning again. Their rotation was perfect now, more stable than it had been in millions of years. "We improved them while we were at it," Minho explained. "Kronos will have fewer storms now. Petrum's weather will be more predictable. Aquinas will be able to support life on its moons." The council chamber was dead silent. Every being there understood what they had just witnessed. The humans could control planets like children playing with toys. "Now do you understand?" Minho asked. "We have the power to destroy you all without effort. But we choose not to. We choose to help instead." Council Leader Vaktor found his voice. "What exactly are you offering?" "Evolution. We can teach willing beings to transcend their current limitations. Not everyone needs to change, but enough must evolve to face the coming threat." "How do we know you're telling the truth about these Devourers?" asked Remkar. Minho's image looked sad. "Look at your sensors again. Check the outer rim of the galaxy." Remkar worked quickly at his portable console. His face went pale. "Council Leader, 7 more star systems have gone dark in the last hour. Something is consuming them." The fear in the chamber was now mixed with desperation. If the humans were right, the galaxy was already under attack. "What do you need from us?" G1 asked. "Volunteers. Beings willing to undergo the same evolution we experienced. It's not painful, but it is permanent. You become more than what you were before." "And if we refuse?" General Taeho asked. "Then you face the Devourers as you are now, and you will lose." Council Leader Vaktor looked around the chamber. Hundreds of representatives from dozens of species stared back at him. The decision they made here would affect trillions of lives. "We need time to discuss this with our governments," he said. "Of course, but please don't take too long. The Devourers move faster as they consume more energy. Each star they eat makes them stronger." Minho's image began to fade. "We'll be waiting on Earth when you're ready. Some of you will choose to evolve. Others will choose to fight us. A few will choose to do nothing. All choices will be respected." "And if we choose to fight you?" Taeho asked. Minho's image paused. "Then you will lose, and the galaxy will be weaker when the real enemy arrives. But if that's your choice, we won't stop you from making it." The image disappeared, leaving the council chamber in chaos. Representatives argued with each other in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate action. Others wanted to study the situation more carefully. A few quietly began making plans to contact Earth directly. Council Leader Vaktor knew that everything had changed. The galaxy would never be the same again. The only question now was whether they would change fast enough to survive what was coming. As the emergency session continued, more reports came in from the galactic rim. The missing star systems weren't just going dark. They were disappearing completely as if they had never existed at all. The Devourers were real and they were hungry. 3 months had passed since the emergency council meeting. The galaxy was splitting into 3 groups: those who wanted to evolve with the humans, those who feared them, and those who wanted to destroy them. The Serenian Collective was the first to officially accept Earth's offer. Ambassador Ji-Wan herself volunteered to be among the first to undergo the evolution process. She arrived at Earth with a small group of scientists and diplomats. Su Jin was there to meet them at the Crystal Platform. She had been coming to Earth regularly, learning more about what the humans had become. Each visit made her more certain that evolution was the right choice. "Welcome to Earth," Su Jin said as Ji-Wan's ship landed. "Are you ready for this?" Ji-Wan stepped onto the platform, her forearms trembling slightly with nervousness. The Serenians were naturally calm people, but this was bigger than anything they had ever faced. "As ready as anyone can be to completely change what they are," Ji-Wan replied. Ha-Un appeared beside them, moving so quietly that no one had seen her approach. "The change isn't as dramatic as you might think. You'll still be yourself, just more than you were before." "What does the process involve?" asked one of Ji-Wan's scientists. "Come, let me show you," Ha-Un said. They walked across the crystal platform to a building that seemed to be made of living light. Inside, the walls pulsed gently with warm colors. The air itself felt alive and welcoming. "This is a consciousness expansion chamber," Ha-Un explained. "It helps beings understand how to think beyond their physical limits." The chamber was simple but beautiful. In the center was a pool of water that glowed with soft blue light. Around it were comfortable places to sit and relax. "The process begins with meditation," Ha-Un said. "You learn to quiet your mind and feel the connections between all things. Then gradually you learn to influence those connections." Su Jin had done this before with Ha-Yun's help. "It's like learning to see with your mind instead of just your eyes," she told Ji-Wan. "How long does it take?" Ji-Wan asked. "For most beings, about a week, but everyone is different. Some take longer, others need less time." Ji-Wan nodded and stepped toward the glowing pool. "If this can help save the galaxy, then I'm ready to try." But not everyone was so willing to change. Far from Earth, Admiral Kyung-Soo of the Human Heritage Fleet was meeting with General Tae-ho and other military leaders. Kyung-Soo was descended from humans who had left Earth before it disappeared, and he had spent his whole life proud of his heritage. Now he felt that heritage was being stolen from him. "These things on Earth are not human anymore," he told the assembled officers. "There's something else wearing human faces. The real humans died 500 years ago." General Tae-ho agreed. "The Corvani Empire has always respected human military traditions. But these new humans seem to think they're above the need for weapons or warfare. That's not human at all." "What do you propose?" asked Commander Ixtar of the Hegemony Defense Force. "We stop them before they can corrupt more species," Kyung-Soo said. "We've been developing weapons specifically designed to disrupt consciousness-based abilities. If we act fast, we can end this threat." "And what about the Devourers they warned us about?" asked another officer. "Probably a lie to make us afraid," Tae-ho replied. "Even if they're real, we'll deal with them our own way. With proper weapons and tactics, not with this evolution nonsense." While the military alliance planned their attack, the evolution process continued on Earth. Ji-Wan had been in the consciousness chamber for 3 days. Su Jin visited her each day, watching as the Serenian ambassador slowly changed. On the 4th day, Ji-Wan opened her eyes and smiled. But it was different from her old smile. This one seemed to contain understanding of things that couldn't be put into words. "How do you feel?" Su Jin asked. "Like I've been asleep my whole life and just woke up," Ji-Wan replied. She looked at her forehands and concentrated. Slowly, her fingertips began to glow with the same light as the pool. "This is incredible. I can feel the energy flowing through everything. Can you still remember who you were before?" "Of course. I'm still Ji-Wan. I still care about my people and want peace in the galaxy. But now I understand so much more about how to achieve that peace." Ha-Yun appeared in the chamber. "Congratulations. You're the first non-human to successfully complete the evolution process. What's next?" Ji-Wan asked. "Now you go back to your people and show them what you've learned. Some will want to follow your path. Others will be afraid. That's normal. But before Jiwon could return to her people, the attack came. Admiral Kyungsu's fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system without warning. They had developed new stealth technology specifically to hide from the humans' enhanced senses. At least they hoped it would work. Du-Yan, Earth's military coordinator, detected them immediately. She was one of the few humans who had specialized in defensive strategies, just in case something like this happened. Wo-Jin, she called telepathically to her colleague. We have hostile ships approaching. What are your orders? Try to communicate with them first, Wo-Jin replied. Maybe we can avoid violence. Du-Yan reached out with her mind toward the approaching fleet. But instead of the usual openness she felt when contacting other beings, she hit a wall of anger and fear. Admiral Kyungsu was ready for mental contact. His ships were equipped with devices designed to block telepathic abilities. Open fire, he ordered. Hit them before they can react. The first wave of attacks was unlike anything seen before. Instead of regular energy weapons, Kyungsu's ships fired beams designed to disrupt conscious thought itself. The beams were meant to cause confusion and panic in evolved beings, but the humans were ready. Du-Yan and a dozen other defensive specialists linked their minds together. The attacking beams hit an invisible shield around Earth and simply disappeared, absorbed harmlessly into the planet's energy field. Second wave, Kyungsu ordered. Use the reality disruptors. These new weapons were designed to break down the connections between matter and energy that evolved beings used to reshape reality. They had tested them on small scales and found they could temporarily prevent consciousness-based abilities from working. The beams hit Earth's shield and actually managed to crack it in several places. For a moment, it looked like the attack might succeed. Then Ha-Yun appeared in space itself, standing on nothing, breathing vacuum as easily as air. Admiral Kyungsu, she said, her voice somehow carrying across the emptiness between ships. Please stop this attack. We don't want to hurt you. You're not human. Kyungsu shouted back over his ship's communications. Humans can't survive in space. We're more human than we've ever been, Ha-Un replied sadly. We've just learned to be more than our limitations. She raised her hand and every weapon on every attacking ship simply stopped working. Not broken, not destroyed, just turned off. The ships themselves continued to function normally. Your weapons are dangerous to evolved beings, Ha-Un explained. We can't allow you to use them, but we won't harm your crews. You can't just turn off our weapons. Taeho's voice came from another ship in the fleet. We just did. Admiral Kyungsu, you are welcome to land on Earth and see what we really are. You might change your mind about us. Never, Kyungsu replied. You've stolen humanity's name and face, but you're not us. His fleet turned and fled. They couldn't fight enemies who could turn off their weapons with a thought, but the attack had consequences no one expected. Back on Earth, Do-Yan reported the incident to the Global Council. They had weapons specifically designed to hurt evolved beings. Someone has been planning this for months. How many species are working with them? Asked Minho. Unknown. But this proves that not everyone will accept our help peacefully. Wo-Jin looked troubled. We may have to be more forceful in our protection of volunteers. People like Jiwon could be targets. Sure enough, when Jiwon returned to the Serenian Collective, she found her own government divided. Half wanted to learn more about evolution. The other half thought she had been corrupted by alien influences. You're not the same person who left, accused council member Vintar. How do we know you're even really Jiwon anymore? I'm exactly who I always was, Jiwon replied calmly. I just understand more now. To prove her point, she reached out with her new abilities and gently repaired a crack in the council chamber's window that had been there for years. The repair was perfect, as if the crack had never existed. Impressive, Vintar admitted. But power like that could corrupt anyone. That's why we need checks and balances, Jiwon said. The humans aren't asking us to trust them blindly. They're asking us to learn what they learned. Knowledge can be verified. Power can be tested, but fear helps no one. While debates continued across the galaxy, long-range sensors brought worse news. The Devourers had consumed an entire sector at the galactic rim. Thousands of star systems were simply gone, leaving empty space behind, and they were accelerating toward the galaxy's core, where most of the inhabited worlds were located. Sujin, now serving as a liaison between Earth and other species, received daily reports about the approaching threat. Each report was worse than the last. How much time do we have? she asked Doyan during one of their meetings. At their current rate, maybe 30 years before they reach the core worlds. Maybe less if they keep accelerating. The Devourers arrived 20 years early. Long-range sensors detected them first as they consumed the outer spiral, moving through star systems like fire through dry grass. Entire civilizations vanished in minutes. Planets that had existed for billions of years simply stopped being. On Earth, Hyejin worked frantically in the Global Coordination Center. As Earth's chief scientist, she had been developing something called the Unity Protocol, a way to evolve millions of beings at once instead of one at a time. How long do we have? She asked Do-Yun, who was monitoring the approaching threat. 6 months before they reach the middle spiral. 1 year before they get to the core worlds. That's not enough time to evolve everyone individually, Hyejin said. We'll have to use the protocol. Is it ready? It has to be. Across the galaxy, the news of the Devourers' early arrival changed everything. Species that had been refusing to evolve suddenly begged for help. Military alliances that had been planning to fight Earth now asked to join them. Admiral Kyung-Soo was among the first to change his mind. His human heritage fleet had been at the galaxy's edge when the Devourers arrived. He watched helplessly as his most advanced weapons did absolutely nothing to slow the approaching darkness. Request permission to approach Earth, he transmitted, his voice heavy with defeat and fear. Hyun herself responded to his call. Permission granted, Admiral. We're glad you're safe. Safe? Kyung-Soo laughed bitterly. I just watched the Devourers eat a star. They consumed it in 3 minutes. 3 minutes? How is anyone safe? Come to Earth, we'll show you. When Kyung-Soo's ship landed on the crystal platform, he was met by Soo-Jin. She had evolved further since their last encounter, and now served as Earth's primary ambassador to human descendants. I'm sorry, Kyung-Soo said as soon as he saw her. I was wrong about everything. You were afraid, Soo-Jin replied gently. Fear makes us all do things we regret. But you're here now and that's what matters. Can you really stop them? The Devourers? Alone? No, together with the rest of the galaxy. Maybe. What do you need from me? Your trust. And your willingness to become more than you are now. Kyung-Soo nodded. After what I've seen, I'll try anything. The evolution process that had taken Ji-Won a week now took Kyung-Soo only 3 days. The Unity protocol that Hyejin was developing allowed for much faster transformation, but it required perfect coordination between thousands of evolved beings. When Kyung-Soo emerged from the consciousness chamber, he was still recognizably himself, but his eyes held new understanding. I can feel them, he said quietly. The Devourers. They're not alive the way we understand life. They're something else. Something hungry. What are they? Soo-Jin asked, emptiness trying to fill itself. They consume reality because they can't create anything of their own. They're the opposite of consciousness. This was new information. The humans had known the Devourers were dangerous, but they hadn't understood their true nature until someone who had seen them up close underwent evolution. Hyejin integrated Kyung-Soo's observations into her Unity protocol calculations. If they're anti-consciousness, then pure consciousness should be able to affect them. Maybe even stop them. How? Asked Wojin, who had been overseeing the global defense preparations. By doing what they can't do. By creating instead of consuming. By connecting instead of isolating. The plan that emerged was ambitious beyond anything ever attempted. The Unity protocol would simultaneously evolve billions of beings across hundreds of species. For one crucial moment, they would all share the same expanded consciousness. Together, they would create something new in the space where the Devourers expected to find only things to consume. But the plan required volunteers on a massive scale. Messages went out to every inhabited world in the galaxy. The choice was simple, evolve or die. There was no middle ground anymore. The response surprised everyone. Trillions of beings volunteered. Entire species decided to transform themselves rather than face extinction. Even the warlike Corvani, led by General Taiho, agreed to participate. I still don't trust this evolution process, Taiho admitted to his officers, but I trust the Devourers even less. The preparations took months. Evolution centers were built on thousands of worlds. Consciousness amplifiers were placed throughout the galaxy. Every evolved being worked together to create a network that could support the Unity protocol. Ji-Won, now one of Earth's most experienced ambassadors, coordinated with species across the galaxy. Remember, she told each group, evolution doesn't mean losing yourself. It means finding more of yourself. Sujin worked with the human descendants scattered across the galaxy. Many of them, like Kyung-soo, had spent their lives believing they were the real humans. Now they were learning that humanity was bigger than they had ever imagined. As the Devourers consumed the outer spiral and moved toward the middle spiral, the galaxy prepared for the largest coordinated action in history. On the day of the Unity Protocol, Hee-jin stood in the coordination center on Earth, surrounded by screens showing every participating world. Billions of beings sat in evolution chambers ready to transform. Are all stations ready? She asked. Confirmations came from across the galaxy. The Serenian Collective ready. The Corvani Empire ready. The Technological Union ready. Hundreds of other species ready. Begin the protocol, Hye-jin ordered. What happened next had never been seen before in the history of the universe. Across the galaxy, billions of minds expanded simultaneously. For one perfect moment, every participating being shared the same vast consciousness. They could feel each other's thoughts, share each other's knowledge, and work together as a single entity. The experience was overwhelming but beautiful. A Serenian scientist suddenly understood Corvani battle tactics. A human engineer grasped Altarian navigation methods. A technological union computer specialist felt the artistic vision of a crystal-based life form. But more than sharing knowledge, they were creating something new. In the space between galaxies, where the Devourers approached, reality itself began to change. Instead of the empty void they expected to consume, they found something they had never encountered before. Space that was actively alive and creative. The evolved beings of the galaxy had turned the vacuum of space into a form of consciousness. Every atom between the stars now pulsed with awareness. Every gravitational field carried thoughts. Every quantum interaction expressed creativity. For the first time in their existence across countless galaxies, the Devourers stopped moving forward. They had no experience with prey that fought back by becoming more complex instead of simpler. They couldn't consume consciousness that was everywhere at once. They couldn't digest creativity that grew stronger when threatened. The Devourers, faced with a galaxy that had become more than the sum of its parts, did the only thing they could do. They left, searching for easier feeding grounds. As the Unity Protocol ended, billions of beings across the galaxy opened their eyes to find themselves changed but still themselves. They had shared one moment of perfect unity, and the memory of that connection would stay with them forever. Sujin stood on the crystal platform, watching the stars through new eyes. She could still feel the faint connection to every evolved being in the galaxy. They were separate individuals again, but they would never truly be alone. Did we win? Asked Kyung-soo, standing beside her. We survived, Sujin replied. And we became something the universe has never seen before. Hye-jin joined them, looking tired but satisfied. The Devourers are moving away from our galaxy. They're heading toward the Andromeda cluster. Should we warn them? Sujin asked. We already are, Hye-jin smiled. The Unity Protocol created a permanent network between all evolved beings. We can communicate with any conscious life form anywhere in the universe now. Andromeda will be ready when the Devourers arrive. In the months that followed, the galaxy settled into a new normal. Not everyone had evolved. Many beings chose to remain as they were, and their choice was respected. But the network of evolved consciousness provided protection and guidance for all. Jiwon established the first interdimensional council, bringing together representatives from evolved and non-evolved species alike. General Taeho, despite his evolution, remained a military leader but now worked to protect life instead of conquering it. Admiral Kyung-soo took on a new role as coordinator between Earth and the human descendants scattered across the galaxy. We're all human, he said in his first address. Some of us just learned to be more human than others. Earth itself became the hub of a new kind of civilization. The planet's surface was covered with consciousness amplifiers and evolution centers, but it also had vast parks and cities where beings could live in peace. Sujin often walked through these parks, marveling at how much had changed. Children from dozens of species played together, some evolved, some not, all protected by the invisible network that connected every conscious mind in the galaxy. What happens now? She asked Haun during one of these walks. Now we grow, Haun replied. We learn. We explore. We become even more than we are today. And if the devourers come back? They won't. They've learned that consciousness can't be consumed, only transformed. They'll look for other kinds of prey. What about other threats? Hyun smiled with the same mysterious expression she'd had when Earth first returned.